Celtics. A lot of things happening in sports, and we'll keep you up to date on everything going on right now. We've got extra innings, top of the 11th. Colorado and Houston tied at 1, although Colorado does have men on second and third. So if they can get some more, put some pressure on Houston here. As you know, extra innings means you start with a man on second. Top 6, San Francisco up 6-1 over the Angels. Top 5, San Diego up 6-4 over Texas. Now, I haven't seen this game. I haven't been watching the game. I've been paying attention to the Pacers-Heat game and that Calgary-Dallas game, which is scoreless. Heat and Pacers are tied at 87 at the 9-minute mark. But I did see 2 Rangers were suspended following, and rightfully so, following their inability to control their actions and handle themselves as adults. That's my definition for. I don't know what your definition is, but my definition for these 2 Rangers pitchers being suspended is because they could not handle their own sense of adultism, if you will. Fernando Tatis did nothing wrong, should never have had to apologize for anything, nor should his manager, the Tingler, throwing Tatis under the bus. If anybody should be apologizing, it should be the Tingler coming out and saying, I'm sorry for throwing my player under the bus. If I'm playing right now, if I'm pitching or hitting or doing anything for the San Diego Padres, I'm looking with a squinted eye at Jace Tingler thinking, this guy doesn't have my back. This guy, he'll throw me under the bus at the very inkling of something going wrong just to save his own skin. The Tingler came out and flat out embarrassed himself last night, trying to justify why people could be angry at Fernando Tatis. The manager is a disgrace for the Rangers as well. It's ridiculous. Chris Woodward suspended 1 game as a result of the pitcher's actions. I'm not even going to mention his name. He doesn't deserve to have his name mentioned. Neither one of these people, in the manager or the pitcher, could act like adults, could handle their own mistakes. So they took it out on somebody else. They took it out on Manny Machado. This is why baseball will never win. This is exactly the reason why baseball will always be behind. It's why I'm here and you're there. That's what the NFL says to baseball. It's what the NBA says to baseball. It's what the NHL is saying to baseball. Dallas up 1-0, 9:47 left in the first over Calgary. It's what the MLS should be saying to baseball. Baseball is dead because of this. Yeah, it got a nice little jump because the sport was dead for a little bit, like all sports were dead with COVID pausing life. But this game is so difficult to watch, and the people involved make it that way. I never felt like it's a chore or a task to watch another sport. Never have I thought watching 2 teams that aren't my own, watching the Miami Heat and Indiana Pacers right now, and I jumped in just before the show, about 7 or 8 minutes before the show at Indiana +6 live line. So we'll keep an eye on this one wherever you have it, and I'll update that too. But this story here with baseball is a disgrace, and it's proof positive that they don't understand the situation they're in. This is something that the NFL would do because of where they're at, knowing that the NFL could have a bounty, the NFL could have anything, and it wouldn't matter. It would be discussed for 2 weeks all over the place. Every radio station, television show, all of that would be talking about it at length. This was an embarrassment. And the one person who was embarrassed is the sole soul who should not be. There is nothing wrong. Fernando Tatis, let me say this again. Fernando Tatis did nothing wrong. Fernando Tatis should not have apologized for anything. The Rangers put themselves in that position. You don't like being down 7 runs in the 8th inning with the bases loaded? What the hell are you doing loading up the count 3-0? Just intentionally walk him. Tell the ump ahead of time, we're not going to pitch to this guy, and save time on the field. They made mistake after mistake. They didn't have it, either that night or in general. And, these unwritten rules, screw your unwritten rules. It's why your sport sucks. It's why your sport is a walking, living, breathing embarrassment. It doesn't matter if JT Realmuto is the best catcher in baseball, if Bryce Harper's here for another 20 years. The sport is problematic at its root. The sport can't get out of its own way. And I don't care if Cole Hamel or Aaron Nola, part of me, is on the mound serving up a meatball at 3-0 and somebody blasts that ball into outer space, or if Bryce Harper's at the plate swinging at a 3-0 count. The fact that this is even a conversation is mind-boggling to me. And he had to apologize. Do you believe that? He had to apologize. And his manager, the Tingler, came out and got all over him. Boy, look at the contrast. Here we have playoff hockey. And locally, of course, we have a star in the city. I just don't know at any point right now if you could honestly look around the city and find a more valuable player to their team than Carter Hart. Honestly, at this point, I don't even know. I don't even know how you could honestly look around Philadelphia and look at anybody and say they are more valuable to their team than Carter Hart, who single-handedly kept the Montreal Canadiens out of the net 2 straight games. He posted 2 straight shutouts. He is young and only going to get better. And looking at what we've seen around this city and knowing how dangerous a good goalie can be and how much we've missed that for decades now, this kid has arrived. He's arrived. 2 shutouts, back to back. And you know what the best part about watching him is? The composure. My goodness, this kid looks like he's been playing for years. This kid looks like he's been in front of the net in the playoffs for years, like it's his job, like he knows exactly what to do and where to be. Even when pressure is on, and let's be fair, the Canadiens, not so much this time around, but we saw that in the earlier shutout, and this game too, but I would say more in that first shutout. There was a lot of pressure. Shots coming in, things along those lines. If it's killing a power play, Carter Hart does not look phased. And that is amazing to watch. Absolutely incredible because we've missed it for so long. And you know what the crazy thing about it? The best part about it is the composure. But the craziest thing about it is nobody's really downplaying it. You know, nobody's really downplaying what this kid is doing and how good he can be. Forget for the next 15 years. I'm talking about this year. Defense, goaltending. Would it be nice to see a team win games 7-5? Sure. If you like scoring, you like goals. Is that sustainable? I don't believe so. Could be wrong. I've been wrong in the past. I might even be wrong here, riding this 6 points with 6:40 left and hoping the Pacers can just get a bucket down 4. You know, looking at where this Flyers team is and what's happened around with the playoffs, there really is expectation that they can go on and win the cup. And it has nothing to do with the futures bet you or I placed back at the end of February or early March before everything shut down. It's the common belief that if you have a hot goalie, you can beat anybody. And you know what's nuts right now? They can beat anybody. That's where we are right now, is the Philadelphia Flyers have proven, and yes, it's 2 shutouts. They're up 3-1 in the first round. They beat good teams coming into this. They won 3 straight. And sure, the Caps are right now facing elimination on their own, but that was a good team at least. We saw them take care of their own business. It doesn't matter at this point. You can make any excuse you want. It doesn't matter at this point who they played, when they played them. The reality is that Carter Hart has been the one consistent. Carter Hart has been that piece that no matter what has happened, even in the loss, it wasn't like, oh man, this team is in trouble. Even in that one loss where they got blasted 5-0, did you honestly feel like it was anything more than just a little blip? Now, Carey Price played his ass off, and we need to see that again, although to be fair to him, this wasn't a brutal game by any means. That was probably the best game Carey Price has played all year without looking at the numbers in detail. Some hockey head is scouring January 1st box scores. Well, here's the problem. Where do you go from here? And I don't necessarily think it's an issue type problem, but it's almost like a good problem to have. Where do you go right now looking at the whole setup for the NHL and where the playoffs have put the Philadelphia Flyers once they advance, which they will? This is over. This series is over. It's just about shutting the door. And look, this is a big game coming up. Carter Hart and the Flyers closing out Montreal is a big game. Don't think that just 2 straight shutouts, he can just crack his knuckles. I'm chilling. I'm good. This thing gets more and more difficult as you go down. But you have to understand, at least where I'm looking at it, as it gets more difficult, the expectations rise. Now, forget the stupid, typical 20-year-old sports talk radio question that you've been inundated with, unfortunately, where it's, are you upset if the Flyers don't win the cup? That's out. That stuff is old. That's tired. What is now, what's really about the moment is trying to capture that and not looking too far ahead. Now, I can look ahead and say the Flyers have every ability right now and every piece and every component, even struggling at times on the power play, although they were successful, even still not being where it should be. You can make every single list you want of all the data and criteria about where you think this Flyers team can go. Hell, I have a futures bet on the Flyers winning it all. I placed February 27th. So we're all in a similar boat, whether or not you bet on this team or you're simply just a fan of the squad. We're all in this similar boat of trying to figure out how far and how deep they can go. But what you might be missing, and I say might because maybe you can multitask. It's hard for me, and I admit it. 3 TVs on here trying to do the show. That's why we illegally posted the stream of that one game and got busted on YouTube. It made it a lot easier to look at comments and other things on top of watching the game. But looking at this team right now, I don't want to lose any moment. I don't want to focus on something 2 or 3 weeks down the line and lose what we just experienced and what we probably will the next time around. Because what we're going through is the growth and culmination and arrival, if you will, all in one. I mean, this is insane to see a kid this young right now take over the position. He just turned 22 years old. At what point out there, and especially the last 2 games, but even when he's getting shelled, and everybody has a bad game, everybody has a bad shot, everybody misses a dunk, everybody does something bad every now and again, you chalk it up and you say, all right, I got beat 5-0. What do you do after that? That's the micro right there of Carter Hart. They get their butts chopped up, handed to them on a plate with garnish on top. 5-0. People are like, well, maybe this Flyers team isn't fill in the blank, and maybe Carey Price is better than Carter Hart, and all of this conversation, all of this discussion. And what does the kid do? It's almost like he took it personal. It's almost like Carter Hart. It reminded me exactly. Now, again, it's only 2 games after, and Dame had a little more, but it reminded me exactly of what happened with Damian Lillard. 101-93, 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Pacers are down right now. Could really use a bucket at the very least to push that. Get you the updated lines here as they refresh in a second following this foul by the Heat. But again, 101-93. Hockey game, tight one. I don't know if you feel confident yet to jump on Calgary, knowing that you're going to get at least 1 point. That might be a play for you. Just looking at it right now, and the puck line is going to reset. But it looks as if with Dallas up, you could probably get Calgary plus 1.5. Now, you're going to pay some. You're going to definitely lay some there. I see it at minus 180, 190. But it might be time. Again, it's all about momentum here. These two teams have played tight times, overtime. Wouldn't be a terrible choice, I think, to jump on Calgary now, knowing that they're down. What I loved about Carter Hart is the response that you got. Damian Lillard missed free throws at the end of a game, key game for them at least. Would have made it a little bit easier in that play-in, but still, key free throws, and didn't miss again. And just incredible effort all around, on the floor, on the line, wherever it was. Defensively, it just set him in motion, if you will. It was like somebody wound his ass up and just said, all right, man, go out and play basketball. And we saw one of the deadliest players in the game take over. And it was a joy to watch. Now, you know my issues with the bubble restart having to do with Phoenix more than anything else. But to see Damian Lillard do that, respond in that type of fashion, was outstanding because he took it personal. Because he didn't want anything more than to come back out and show, if it's haters, if it's doubters, if it's critics, whatever the term, the buzz term of the day is to describe the same person, he didn't want them to get over. He didn't want them to actually be right. You know, maybe these guys are onto something. Constantly get knocked out early, even when we go deep. There's something always wrong. That it's just the lack of success. It starts getting in your head. Man, maybe these people are right. Maybe what they're talking about actually makes some sense. Maybe I don't have it. Maybe I am cooked. But instead, he responded, and again, it was personal. You could feel it. It didn't even matter who he was going up against. Right? It was just a personal shot at every single body in front of him. He was going to score. He was going to defend. He was definitely going to knock down free throws. It actually pushed him, if you will, to a higher level of competition. Not to say that he was playing like garbage or trash beforehand, but it was enough right there to put him over. It was enough. See, that's what I loved about Lillard's response, is that it didn't matter what happened, anything before. He had the shortest memory when it came to his mistake. 101.95. My goodness, can we just get something here? Now with Carter Hart, similar situation. 104.95. I mean, my goodness. You might have to jump in just to hedge at this point. Waiting for this thing to reset right now. Man, something's up with DraftKings. I don't know what it is, but they're behind. Their lines and setting things up today. And we're always on them. I'm always giving you the live stuff from DK, but something is up. I don't know if maybe there's just a ton of people on them, but it's a lot right now. Pacers looking to cut this lead with another bucket. Just maybe get to the line. Oh, jump ball. This is going to be a painful ending, isn't it? Just get me a bucket here. And I'm waiting for the line to reset. I see it at 8.5, but I can't jump in yet because it's locked. But I imagine that following this jump ball, if the Heat retain possession, then announce off the board. Unbelievable. Might have lost any opportunity right there, but you can still go next field goal if you want. That is a tough bet right there to live and die by. I just need this +6 to ride out. The 3-team parlay that I put in early this morning, 6:23:30 a.m. this morning, up for some ungodly reason. Magic +17. It was a 3-team teaser in the NBA today. Magic +17.5. Pacers +9.5, which is in jeopardy. And the Rockets I bumped up to 7. I guess I didn't need those 17.5 points. What a waste. Orlando and the walking Fultzes just coming out. Another 3 by Miami. That could do it right there. Jimmy Butler just sealed it. 2:25 left, but, I mean, you're down 12. I don't see how they can do anything. Down 10 now. I apologize. 1:56 left. Carter Hart today responded, and there was a true meaning to this. It's beyond simply, hey, 22-year-old had 2 straight shutouts. This is deeper than that. And I don't want to miss anything. I don't want to miss a moment. I don't want to take away anything from what this young man is doing and how he responded in kind. And we made such a big deal, rightfully so, about where we are with, seriously, as an NBA community, where we were with the Blazers and all of this amazing performances we saw, out of Damian Lillard. We just got 2 straight shutouts from a guy who got shelled the game before by the same team, mind you. And if you don't think that Carter Hart responded like this was personal, then I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how to make that any clearer. This guy was on a mission the last 2 games. And why would it stop? Simply because he can now, he shut the Canadians out too. He doesn't know any better. Think about it. He's 22 years old. He doesn't know any better. This is the only mode he knows right now, is to go out and shut teams out. Probably gets upset if he gives up a goal or 2. More so than just giving up a goal or 2 in the typical, gave up a goal in the playoffs upset. Probably sticks with him for the next day and a half until he can get back on the ice. This is everything that we've wanted here in Philadelphia in our athlete. It's everything that we've wanted here as far as executing and also responding, bouncing back. You can go through the list all you want. You can throw any name you want out there. If it's Simmons, Embiid, Wentz, Blake, anybody you want. Hart, it's Carter Hart. I mean, it's insane how easy this is for me, though. There is nothing that the Flyers are able to do on this level of success if Carter Hart is not in net. Now, unfortunately, we've seen the question answered for the Philadelphia Eagles when we saw the team win a Super Bowl without Wentz and make the playoffs without Wentz. It can be done. Carson Wentz is a hell of an athlete, and I'm thankful he's the quarterback for my football team. But I can't make that argument. I don't think you can. Look, Embiid is not there yet. Ben Simmons is not physically there yet. He's not on the floor enough. Injury prone, dare I say, or did I just say? You bet after this offseason, there are going to be some discussions about what to do with this team, because just bringing in a coach is not going to fix it. You don't have any problems. You don't have anything you're working around. You don't have any growth spurts or stunts or anything like that. You have a 22-year-old kid who comes in with the composure of a 10-year veteran, a multi-cup champion. And he does deserve, look, you talk about Michael Raffles' goal, that's great. The team is not scoring a lot, maybe not enough. It would be nice if they could actually convert some more of the power plays in their offensive zone. I don't know what happened today, but they struggled. Again, it didn't hurt them, but if it's 2-2 or if you're down 2-1, then it starts to hurt. Then it becomes a problem. And it's not always going to be the Canadians that they're playing, especially after their next victory. This was an outstanding performance. The defense deserves a ton of credit, don't get me wrong, but Carter Hart was the reason. Carter Hart, yet again, the reason. All he's doing is standing in net and blocking shots, saving the game, which he did 2 straight times. Again, the key, 2 straight times after getting torched, after the team got destroyed 5-0. 109-100, waiting for these free throws to drop. Painful. Think that 6 points might be cooked. Now I'm just holding on to the 9.5 on my teaser. Now, I still need Houston to go out there and not lose by more than 8, but still, I didn't think that the 9.5 would be in jeopardy here. The 4.5 cooked, the 6 tight. You're going to need, it's 109-101 right now with 59 seconds to go. You're going to need 2 stops and at least 1 3. Now, you get that, all of a sudden, that 4.5 is back in play. It doesn't matter. It's moot because the Miami just, this Pacers team bothers me. It does bother me because they should be better than this. They constantly get run in the first round. And for the first time, they actually had a matchup where, despite TJ Warren rarely showing up against, for whatever reason, this team, they had a winnable matchup. And instead, I know Victor Oladipo got hurt, got punched in the eye, and basically was out. But they were playing well even without Oladipo, and it didn't matter today. They got nothing from their bench, and they watched Miami play that outside game, with their two guards. Well, wing, if you technically want to count Butler. But it was all from the outside. And then when Butler was not shooting or giving the ball to Goran Dragic, he was taking it to the rack and getting fouled. Disgraceful, but believable when you look at it. You're not going to get anything at all. And again, I cannot make that excuse with Victor Oladipo being out of this game 9 minutes into it. That was the reason why the Pacers are getting run right now by double digits. It doesn't make sense. And look, bets aside, I don't care. They're small units. It's not a big deal if I lose it or win it. But, I'm definitely going to be happy on winning one. But this is a problem that the Pacers have had year in and year out. Not a terrible game by Warren. It's just nobody else wanted to really come in and take up the slack left by an absent Oladipo. You got to get more right now. You have to get more out of this basketball team, or this thing could be over in 4 or 5. After today, can look at how that series shifts with the odds, but I don't know where your bright spot is. Miles Turner getting pushed around down low. I don't know where your bright spot is for this team. Maybe if you have Victor Oladipo healthy next game, that gives you more of a shot. Okay, I can believe that, but I don't necessarily think that puts you over any edge. I don't think that gives you the leading advantage here. They didn't make enough shots, probably didn't take enough shots, and it felt like they were there. It just kind of felt like they were there. It didn't really feel like there was this blow off the doors. The Orlando Magic were not just there. You want to know the difference between just being there, just happy to be there, versus, wow, maybe you can actually take advantage of your position and win a basketball game. Yeah, everybody's against you as far as trying to win this damn thing, but maybe, just maybe, you can come out and put in some effort. And it's like the Pacers' effort was killed as soon as Oladipo got punched in the face. That was it. At Shander Show on Twitter. We're live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Shander Show. What are the odds the Sixers, pardon me, I'm looking at this thing here with Markelle Fultz, that the Pacers can even win a game right now? I don't know. I would fade that right now. If you're looking at a sweep in the first round, we know it's not going to be the 1-8 seed with Orlando and Milwaukee. But if you're looking at a sweep in the East, and I'll tell you why it's not going to be Philadelphia coming up. This game looks like it's all but over right now. Just a formality on the clock. Up 10. Butler on the line again. I mean, they're just having fun with Indiana. They own Indiana. And the Pacers should definitely feel this level of embarrassment. 113-101 the final. You lose by double digits? Really? Double digits to a team that's right there with you in the standings? That really technically was a game below you? Now, you were getting the points in Indiana ahead of time, but still, forget where this game is being played. There are no more home court advantages, anything like that. It's all about talent right now. Talent beats talent in the NBA, and every now and again you get a little edge depending on where you're playing. Well, that edge is gone. And this was Jimmy Butler and Goran Dragic just doing whatever they wanted. How, as a professional athlete, how as a competitor on any level, can you accept this? Pacers are either going to come back and win by 12, 13, 14 points, which I really can't see, or they're going to continue to get beat down, which I actually can see. Whatever that defense was in the bubble, wherever their ability to get smart buckets was in the bubble, was gone. It was almost like this was their first game back. And they blew it. They had an opportunity. They had chances to keep it close, and they just could not. Any key moment in which Jimmy Butler or Dragic had the ball, it resulted in a bucket for Miami. It resulted in points for Miami. You just can't win against anybody. Ask Milwaukee. You're not going to win games like that if you just give up buckets. Some of them were a little easier than others, granted. But you can't allow Jimmy Butler and Goran Dragic to play like it's a preseason game against a college team. Indiana looked lost out there and deserved that L. Beat down right there. How in the world can you trust Indiana moving forward? A little different than what happened last night with Dallas, for example. Porzingis gets a raw deal, ejected for something that he should not have been ejected for. And that changed a lot of the game as there was, 7 minutes left in the third or so? A lot of time left in that game as Porzingis, their second best player, was ejected. So you can look at that game and say, all right, it could change a little bit. Clippers are really going to have to increase some intensity and do their best to slow down Porzingis when he comes back with an edge on him. Denver, Utah, yeah. I expected a little more out of Utah, especially defensively. But to be fair, that game went to overtime, and it was in overtime in which Utah just ran out of gas. Speaking of which, tonight, such an easy cover for the Lakers. Lakers win by double digits. I don't know how you can trust Portland in this series. I don't. And I'm back tomorrow, so you can let me have it if I'm wrong. We'll bring on Bill Horrenda, good NBA expert, tonight at 7 to talk a little bit about that and some other series going on. But Portland's out of gas. Portland used everything they had. They expended all of their energy on making it to the postseason with that play-in game where it was pretty evident to me they were running out of juice pretty fast. Yeah, Memphis is just not that good of a basketball team compared to a healthy Portland team. Don't look at the record. Don't look at the standings. Don't look at anything like that. Portland was without 3 guys up front for a while. Rotation of such. Don't get it twisted here. The Lakers, people are looking at these two teams like, LA comes into this. They barely won in the bubble. They looked lost. There was some rumor about something going on that LeBron couldn't control in the locker room. Meanwhile, the Blazers are on a tear. They won 3 straight, including that play-on game. They won 7 of their last 10 coming into this bubble now. Damian Lillard is on fire, as I just explained. And CJ was playing really well, especially in the fourth, where they needed him against Memphis. You can look at Memphis's record. That's a 34-39 record right there. That is exactly representative of what they've done this year and where they finished. And then you look at this game and think, well, this is the time that we've seen in the past where LeBron would turn off social media, where LeBron would stop doing everything except focusing on playing basketball. And right away, we saw that play out, and we saw his teams ultra-focused. And we saw whatever nonsense was going on, whatever drama was going on, dissipate into thin air. I love the Lakers tonight. See if they've been bet down at all. But I think that looking especially at what Portland had to do in order to get by at 6.5 right now, I'll lay it. I'll take the hook and I'll lay the 6.5. I have no problem with that. And if you don't believe me, then go on Twitch right now, twitch.tv/Shanders Show. You can see my phone right up on the screen. It's taking up the majority of the screen, and the bet has been placed. Now watch Horrenda come on and tell me I'm an idiot, and the Blazers go on and win by 20. Well, Horrenda calling me an idiot is more likely to happen than the Blazers winning by 20. I just don't see it. I know it's a great story, and we all want that to happen. I just don't see it, man. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and try and play into the popular take because it's popular. If I believe the popular take, then yes, I'll roll with it. Carter Hart's the MVP of the Flyers. Carter Hart's the MVP of the city. That's not breaking any ground. That's not trying to rewrite history. That's not reinventing the wheel. That's stating the obvious, what a lot of people believe, obviously. Blazers out of gas, getting swept or maybe winning a game down 3-0. That's the most likely scenario for me. Blazers get beat up tonight. It's evident that they're out of gas tonight. Anthony Davis is the guy that I think has the biggest game amongst everybody. And then we wait and see. We wait and see what the reaction is on Wednesday. What people are saying and talking about regarding the Lakers and whether or not they're really back versus, man, what happened to Portland? Now, that forgotten series that nobody seems to be talking about is about to tip off. And we'll have you for the majority, I'm sure the first half, at least, before John Jansen comes your way at 8 o'clock on the line change. Thunder Rockets, it's down to a 1-point game. And what I love about this is I don't know. I don't think anybody – now, look, you can have a beat on it and you can place a bet on it, and then you can justify that bet until the game's over. But let's be honest here. OKC losing one of their top defenders to put on Harden. Houston losing Russell Westbrook for the first 2 games. It does feel like a little bit of an evening out right now. Yet still, the Thunder getting the favorite. The Thunder laying the point, just like we saw with Miami laying points against the higher seed, if you will, in Indiana. Chris Paul has been an absolute problem, and he's been amazing with a lot of younger kids around him. Meanwhile, that small ball game hasn't really worked for the extent of the bubble like we thought it could at the start of the bubble. Rockets come into this sucker limping, 3 straight losses. Yet you always have, and this is the damage that they can do, despite OKC's good perimeter defense, you always have the ability, if you're Houston, to go on a run. It just depends on if you're knocking down shots or you're missing shots. Houston knocks down shots tonight. They win. They win comfortably. And it's not because it's the Thunder. It's not because, nobody can guard James Harden. It's not because of any of that. It's because they've got 5 guys, small guys on the floor, launching threes every single possession. And if 4 of those 5 guys are consistently knocking down shots, I don't know how you stop that. The only way you do that is to just dump it down low to your big man and hope you can foul some of these guys out. Maybe. I doubt that's the plan per se, to go to Steven Adams the whole time, but this could be a pretty big game for Gallinari. Wow, Dort being gone really hurts. Really hurts, because they were going to stick him on Harden. Schroeder's out as well. You don't have that much depth as you did. This could be a bigger man's game. It's not going to be anybody that plays the 5. So don't hold your breath and wait for some breakout by Mike Muscala. That ain't going to happen. Darius Baisley and Danilo Gallinari, 2 bigger cats who can stretch and shoot, yet also post up. That could be the difference right there. If you're Oklahoma City, that's where I would go. Right now, I mean, look, you've got minus 113 for the money line for the Thunder, minus 105 for the money line for the Rockets. Rockets getting the point. You lay 112 at DraftKings. OKC getting laying the point. So you have to lay the 109. Just about to tip off. We'll update you on everything as it happens. The NHL as well. Some good news coming for this Philadelphia 76ers outside of their basketball team. Again, Bill Herenda is going to join us at 7 tonight. What are the odds? Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. It's presented by Cure Auto Insurance.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Man, I wasn't even looking. I'm sorry. Total traffic for Philadelphia.
Things are getting back to normal on 55 southbound in Malaga. Had an accident.
Did you say anything to me?
Got 4 minutes, Eitan.
Did I blow through? Did you say something? Did I blow through it?
In Dennis Township, Route 9 southbound is blocked at 83.
Yo, can you hear me?
That's due to down wires.
Barely. I can hear you now. What'd you say?
Did you say anything in my ear? You didn't say anything, right?
No, I was just saying. I just said you had 4 minutes left. That was it. I didn't say anything to you earlier than that.
Okay. No, that's fine. Let me give you Bill's number real quick.
Go to Staples.com/20off PPE for your coupon. In-store only. Offer ends 8/22. Exclusions apply. See store for details. Staples.
Just because you've been with the car insurance company for years doesn't mean you're getting the best rate. Almost all insurance companies use your credit score, education level, and your employment status to determine your rate.
I sent you Bill's
not
number.
Cure Auto Insurance.
He's at 7.
Last time I checked.
Okay, not now. I got you.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Got you.
Rates primarily on what really matters, how well you drive. Did you know a study showed if you don't have a 700-plus credit score, you could be paying over 50% more for car insurance, even without an accident or ticket? Go to Cure.com and see how much you could be saving. Getting a quote is quick and easy, and it's free. Plus, they have outstanding and convenient service. They offer pay by text, electronic billing, and claim support 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just visit cure.com, that's CURE.com, or call 800-535-CURE. That's 800-535-2873. Cure Auto Insurance. Drive well.
O'Reilly Auto Parts has everything you need for your summer car maintenance at great prices. Our professional parts people can help you find the best oil change supplies for your car, like 5 quarts of Valvoline conventional motor oil and MicroGuard filter, everyday low price, $26.99. For your summer oil change, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Okay, moms and dads, you gotta check this out. Target has all the easiest ways to check off your kids' entire list and get them ready for school. Like Drive Up. Order ahead and Target will load your school order right into your car's trunk. No contact required. Check. Or my personal favorite, Target School List Assist. Check off your kids' actual class list in a click and have it shipped to your door. Check and check. This year, check everything off the list with easy and contactless ways to get ready for school. Only at Target. Restrictions may apply.
What happened this week in rock and roll history? Let's find out. It's the Rock Almanac on iHeartRadio.
What's going on, rockers and rollers? It's Andy West. Let's get it rolling. We start off this week in 1967. And while enjoying a wild birthday party, Keith Moon, drummer of The Who, drove his limo into a Holiday Inn swimming pool. Police were called out to put an end to the festivities. Moon, who didn't want to be arrested, snuck outside and got into a Lincoln Continental limousine and attempted to make a getaway. Unfortunately, in his inebriated state, he released the handbrake and began rolling towards the pool. Moon simply just sat back and waited as the car crashed through the fence around the pool and into the water. This week in 1979, the Knack's My Sharona.
We got 60 seconds.
U.S. for the first of 6 weeks. This week in 1987, Metallica play a secret show at the 100 Club in London. 2 days later, they would play Donington Park at Castle Donington as part of the massive Monsters of Rock.
So this last break is 4 minutes and 30 seconds, so you know.
Okay, so there's only 2 breaks?
No, I forgot. This is your first one. So
yeah.
We got to take 2 more. My bad.
Can we combine them, or is it too long?
4:25. It's like 8 minutes.
Okay, so I'll be all right. So I'll be fast here. I'll break it.
If you break at 52, we should be good.
Okay.
All right. I would say just break at like 50 to give me enough time because I got to put something in between.
Okay, you got it.
All right.
Thriller is.
We got 5 seconds.
An album.
And that.
I got you. 5 seconds.
Oh, yeah. I'm with this. I'm just going to sit here laid back to this nice.
All right, we're underway. First quarter, 6-2 right now. Rockets with the lead. 6-4, pardon me. This thing's going to move fast. Let me see what the first quarter line is right now. First half line even, too. Rockets minus 1.5. Now, that's because they hold a 2-point lead. It's too tight. Now, the alternate spread, you could get the Rockets at minus 4.5 at plus 170. Harden with an effortless 3. My goodness. I don't even know. I guess at some point it's probably going to be boring to just make every single shot that you take. But let me get to that point in my life first in order to then determine whether or not it is. Rockets, though, right now, they seem to be struggling between whether or not they want to take it or they just want to shoot it. But looking at this first quarter, I mean, the first quarter totals at 50.5. That seems really high. Now, granted, the under, I'm going to lay the 130 on there. Another bucket, and you can still see this thing hit. Boy, so it's 6-4. Let's look at this real quick. It's 6-4 with 8:11 left in the first quarter. 6-5 now, and probably another one as we're waiting for free throws. But the total for the first quarter sits at 50.5. Are they going to get 39 more points right now? 30, 40 points in order to really go over that. I'm going to take the under here. It's suspended because of the free throw, but come on, just come back. 51.5. I feel even better about that. 51.5 right now, and I could wait just a minute to see if that juice settles a little bit with the tie game at 6-6. But the problem is that every miss is going to probably keep it there or raise it a little bit. And it just did. That miss raised it a point from 117 to 118. So I'm going to take the odds change and take the under 51.5 first quarter total for the Thunder and Rockets. A lot of free throws, a lot of fouls. It's fine. I can deal with that as opposed to everybody on Houston knocking down 3 after 3 after 3. And while we've seen this so far, and there's a layup by Steven Adams, another miss by Houston. Just give me some misses, just some misses. I'll take the misses in step here. We've got a long ways to go at 14 points to get there. But misses and let me clarify that. Misses and defensive rebounds. Gordon Hayward is out for, I saw 3 weeks, might even be more than that. That's assuming that Boston would be playing that deep. That's a major loss for Boston, especially when you look at 4 weeks, okay? When you look at how varied the attack is for Boston with Hayward. Now, again, Gordon Hayward is not their best player. We all saw who their best player is and know who their best player is. He's not their best complementary player in like a Jaylen Brown or even a Kemba Walker. But he is a hell of an option as your fourth scorer. And to be fair, the loss of Gordon Hayward does present a problem. We saw him go on a little tear before COVID stopped everything. And even when the Celtics came back, he was playing well. It opens up more for some bigger guys that the Sixers should be able to take advantage of as far as the Sixers' height and their speed. Looks like Steven Adams is down. Could be a pretty big injury, at least enough to stop the clock and go to a break. This thing now, though, with Hayward out, opens up a little bit more for the other guys, if you will, the bench players, the rotation guys. You already have to deal. You're going to have to do something to slow down Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown and Kemba Walker will be a problem. Marcus Smart comes off the bench. He's an issue. Gordon Hayward, you had 5 guys who could beat you on any given night. Now, they overachieved. I'll admit that Boston overachieved to get to that 3 seed this year. I don't think a lot of people had them gelling as fast as they did, but outside of any coaching accolades you want to throw on Brad Stevens, this thing now becomes a little more easier and manageable in game 2. But you can't, if you're the Sixers, go in there thinking, well, we have a gift. That's 30-plus minutes out of the rotation. That's a good 15-plus points out of the rotation. Boston has the ability to just erase that departure like it was nothing, but they actually have to go out and do it. It's not a given by any means that Marcus Smart picks up all of the slack and they don't lose a beat. Now, the Sixers have their own problems internally, of course, to get back to any type of competition against the Celtics. This just makes it a little easier. Bill Horrenda is going to join us in 10 minutes at Shander Show for me. What are the odds? Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. It's presented by Cure Auto Insurance.
It's the Daily Ticket with Sean Briggs.
All right, we're good to the top of the hour.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. I'll call him right before you.
Yep, that's cool.
Emily Donez.
I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, and one of the main quotes from the series is happiness can be found in the darkest of times when you remember to turn on the light. And humanity has shown such a bright light on one of the darkest times in our history. And even doing radio shows like yours, I'm sure there are a lot of people that look forward to tuning in every day to take their mind off of all the craziness that is going on. So these are really important things to remember. We have to remember to be positive, do what we can to help out, stay at home, most importantly, and just wait for the darkness to pass.
Somebody from Bet Rivers.
Oh.
Casting HD. Got an HD radio in your car? You can also hear The Gambler on 105.3 HD2.
Just because you insurance company for years doesn't mean you're getting the best rate. Almost all insurance companies use your credit score, education level, and your employment status to determine your rate, but not Cure Auto Insurance. Last time I checked, those things have nothing to do with your driving ability. Cure bases rates primarily on what really matters, how well you drive. Did you know a study showed if you don't have a 700 plus credit score, you could be paying over 50% more for car insurance, even without an accident or ticket? Go to cure.com and see how much you could be saving. Getting a quote is quick and easy, and it's free. Plus, they have outstanding and convenient service. They offer pay by text, electronic billing, and claim support 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just visit cure.com, that's CURE.com, or call 800-535-CURE. That's 800-535-2873. Cure Auto Insurance. Drive well.
Let me tell you a thing or two about the people who don't compromise. They love Pepsi Zero Sugar. Why? Because it's got all the flavor and zero the sugar. How's that for not compromising? They're the sort of person that likes surf with their turf. And a drink with their feast? Yeah, they have a Pepsi Zero Sugar. The person who doesn't compromise loves a good golden doodle. All the golden retriever goodness with just a hint of doodle. And when they're bringing said golden doodle for a walk, they bring a Pepsi Zero Sugar. Zero sugar, done right. That's what I like.
As you get back to business, small things can make a big difference. Like marking safe distances with floor tape and posting reminders to wash hands. As always, Grainger is here to help, offering supplies and solutions for every industry. Free access to product specialists, 24/7 support, safety recovery guides, and more. It's part of our commitment to help you adapt and recover in these challenging times. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Howdy, folks. Colonel Sanders here. When it's time to eat, there's nothing more comforting than comfort food you don't have to cook. So get a $20 fill-up from KFC. Choose from 8 pieces of original recipe, extra crispy chicken, or 12 tenders. It comes with all the fixings to feed your whole family. Order ahead at KFC.com. KFC drive-thrus are still open. Or stay in and get contactless delivery by Grubhub. With buckets of love, Colonel Sanders. Limited time only at participating locations only. Prices may vary. Tax and substitutions extra. Delivery service and additional fees apply.
Sunny skies, a beautiful day. Humidity lowering with the high 85 today. Clear and comfortable tonight with a low 67, and Wednesday increasing cloudiness, a spotty shower possible, high 80. That's 6 ABC Action News weather.
This report is sponsored by Staples Store. Staples helps your business with amazing prices. This week, get 20% off your in-store purchase of all hand sanitizer, masks, and other PPE products. Go to staples.com/20off PPE for your coupon. In-store only. Offer ends 8/22. Exclusions apply. See store for details. Staples.
Hi, this is Paige Renee, and I have a podcast called Playing Around. I give you a raw, unfiltered look behind the scenes of not only the golf world, but share some hilarious personal stories. We cover everything from sports all the way to dating advice. Nothing is off limits, and we never stay in bounds. iHeartRadio is #1 for podcasts, but don't take our word for it. Listen to Playing Around on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Fire up your DVR. It's time for your TV tip-off.
On Friday, sea stars from one of TV's longest-running reality shows take on Sin City in the behind-the-scenes documentary RuPaul's Drag Race Las Vegas Review, kicking off at 8/7 Central on VH1. Saturday, it's a timely look at romance during our age of physical distancing as Leslie Odom Jr. and Nicolette Robinson star in the comedy Love in the Time of Corona, making a special 2-episode premiere Saturday at 8/7 Central on Freeform, with another pair of episodes the following night. Sunday night, Sarah Edmondson and Anthony Ames star in the true crime documentary The Vow, exploring a self-help group with sinister and abusive underbelly. It debuts Sunday at 10/9 Central on HBO. And that's your TV tip-off on iHeartRadio.
Dan Patrick, 9 to noon.
Brett Brown joins us.
Colin Cowherd from noon to 3.
The Sixers are amazing.
And the Daily Ticket with Sean Brace from 3 to 6 p.m. Only one place you can find that.
All ears to it.
Right here on Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Heads up, we have a crash in Cherry Hill, has traffic jam on 70 eastbound between Green Tree Road and Springdale Road. Watch for roadwork on the Jersey Turnpike southbound between interchange 3 for 168 and exit 2 for 322. The left lane is blocked.
jam traffic on the Schuylkill westbound University to Vine. Rover has it down to 1 lane. Eastbound Schuylkill, so Montgomery to Spring Garden. Lara Totella, total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples helps your business with amazing prices. This week, get 20% off your in-store purchase of all hand sanitizer, masks, and other PPE products. Go to staples.com/20off PPE for your coupon. In-store only. Offer ends 8/22. Exclusions apply. See store for details. Staples.
These are worrisome times, causing a lot of stress and concern. And being in debt to the IRS can certainly make matters worse. Thankfully, there's good news. Optima Tax Relief can help you resolve your tax debt over the phone and online. Don't go it alone. Optima's tax professionals can reduce the stress in your life by helping to resolve your IRS problems right from the comfort of your own home. Optima is America's most trusted tax resolution firm, having resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients. And their award-winning team is ready to help you online and over the phone, even during these uncertain times. They'll stand between you and the IRS and fight to get you the best deal possible. All it takes is one call to start the process. Optima's tax associates are standing by. Take the first step towards putting your tax problems to rest. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply.
Hey, Tom.
Yo.
He's not answering the phone.
Okay, hold on.
Talk and text plus 5 gigabytes of high-speed data for $30 a month. $30 a month on a nationwide 5G network and no contract. That's our best deal ever. Shop now at simplemobile.com. Simple Mobile. Out with the old, in with the simple.
Limited time offer ends 9/30/2020. Standard high-speed data allotment on all redemptions thereafter. Compatible 5G capable device and SIM required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. 5G network not available in all areas. Terms at simplemobile.com.
Howdy, folks. Colonel Sanders here. When it's time to eat, there's nothing more comforting than comfort food you don't have to cook. So get a $20 fill-up from KFC. Choose from 8 pieces of original recipe, extra crispy chicken, or 12 tenders. It comes with all the fixings to feed your whole family. Order ahead at KFC.com. KFC drive-thrus are still open. Or stay in and get contactless delivery by Grubhub. With buckets of love, Colonel Sanders. Limited time only at participating locations only. Prices may vary. Tax and substitutions extra. Delivery service and additional fees apply.
The 2020 election is being called our most important in years. From now till Election Day on November 3rd, iHeartRadio is turning over the airwaves on our radio stations, our podcasts, and even the iHeartRadio app to give you the opportunity to answer one simple question. Why I'm voting.
This is Dan from Imagine Dragons. That you voted. Otherwise, you're just talking.
To share why you're voting this November, go to iHeartRadio.com/vote.
Yeah.
Why I'm voting. The countdown to Election Day. Your vote is your voice.
Records,
I'm calling him now.
Okay.
and everything in between. What happened today in sports history on iHeartRadio?
What's happening, fellow sports fans? It's Andy West. Let's look back on this day in sports history, August 18th. We'll start with a weird baseball tale in 1965. Hank Aaron hit a monster home run that would have been his 28th of the season, but was called out because his left foot was entirely out of the batter's box when he hit it. Bob Uecker, who became a famous play-by-play announcer, was the catcher for the Cardinals and the one that brought it to the umpire's attention. The Braves would win the game 5-3 on another home run in the ninth inning by Don Dillard.
Eight-time Bills on the phone.
Great, thank you.
No problem.
He announced his retirement for the second.
We got about 30 seconds.
Never returned to football. Brett Favre signs a
Conley's back
2-year,
already,
$25 million deal.
Already.
Damn.
And today in
He must have
2016,
got some
Jamaica's
serious
Usain
shit
Bolt
from his
completes
woman.
an
Oh, you're not going to be here?
the 100 and 200 meter sprints.
You don't come home now,
elevating
you're
his
not coming
status
home.
as
That's it. You're out of here.
That is a deal he must have cut.
10 seconds.
WDAS and W273DO Philadelphia is The Gambler, an iHeart radio station. Presented by Cure Auto Insurance.
All right, we start our second hour on the Dr. Glatt Regrow Your Hairline. Dr. Paul Glatt, Philadelphia's leading hair restoration doctor. As we have a busy day still to come, we've got a game on right now. We've got the big one tonight with the Lakers and Blazers, and you already know my theory on that one. We had Miami playoff Jimmy in action, and where we should start, which is one of the biggest upsets that I can remember, outside of an 8 beating a 1 in a series, just coming out and stopping the Bucks. That's what the Orlando Magic did. So we go out to the Dr. Glatt Regrow Your Hairline and bring in Bill Horrenda, at Bill Horrenda on Twitter. All things NBA, college hoops as well. And also a man who has touched the silver screen, and we may have to ask his thoughts on a couple of remakes. I just saw a latest story break with Kevin Hart and Will Smith. But Bill, first and foremost, always appreciate a chance to chat with you. Thank you for your time, and hope all is well with you and yours.
Absolutely. Right back at you, Eitan. Congratulations on the nuptials. And any remake that I'm in, I'm all for. I give that a green light. I give it a thumbs up.
Wait, you're not in any of these remakes. Before I bash them, you're not in any of these remakes, are you?
Not yet. But you never know. Well, I know we'll get there, but I just couldn't resist.
Wait a second.
Give it a little prelim, a little tease on the remake.
Do we need to get Kevin Hart the clip of you and SWAT?
We got to make that happen.
I can do that.
Right to the top of the pile. All right.
We've got Philadelphia ties. You know, if there's anybody that could get to Kevin Hart or anybody that's a star here in Philadelphia, it would be the gentleman, Rob Tyson, who called you up, who is our producer of the show. He's as connected as it gets. So I bet that if we floated it out there and said, we got a guy, Bill Horrenda, he's been on TV, he's been in movies, he's been on the screen, he knows his way around a camera. Next thing you know, you might get a call, and we won't even ask for a cut. How about that?
That is tremendous. What great representation. I love it.
See, we can now, if you know any radio or TV sports stuff open, let me know, and then we can reciprocate that way. What are your thoughts?
Two-way street. I love it.
Yes, nothing is free in this world, Bill. I apologize. But now, what are who in the world would have thought covering a 10-point line is one thing, right? Coming into that game and getting 10, 11 points, depending on where you bet the Magic, is one thing. But to come out and dominate the Bucks, win by 12, what was your reaction when it was all done?
Yeah, I certainly was surprised, Eitan. But, I go way Steve Clifford to his days as an assistant coach up at St. Anselm's in New Hampshire. And listen, we know his teams are always well prepared. They defend, and they usually defend without fouling. And they're also low turnover squads. So when you do those things, even if you're without Aaron Gordon, Isaac, Carter Williams, Bamba, it gives you a chance to win. And they got monster production, of course, from Vucevic. Terrence Ross was great off the bench. Not to mention James Ennis, Gary Clark, and Fultz has been playing at a high level. But certainly I was surprised. I was mostly surprised by the Bucks' sleepwalking nature.
Yes,
I don't get the somnambulance with Milwaukee. That is that's puzzling to me at this juncture.
What do you think that's attributed to? Just that Milwaukee for 2 years now at least has just been sleepwalking through the Eastern Conference, and it's kind of like maybe they don't have enough veteran presence that have won to know, hey, you can't take a game off no matter what. What do you attribute that laziness, I guess, to?
Well, I think it's really hard to put your finger on it, but it's easy for us to speculate. But I would caution that it's just one game. And, the overreaction, kind of the blogger demagoguery, we have to rise above that and recognize that it's just one game. One of the things that I thought was really important was at halftime, the Magic had allowed 7 offensive rebounds, and the Bucks had cashed in. They were 8-0 second chance points at the half, and Steve Clifford told Jaron Greenberg about that when he was interviewed during the half. And then in the second half, Milwaukee had 4 offensive rebounds with just 2 points. So it speaks to two things. Number one, Orlando was able to do and live up to Hubie Brown's cardinal rule of the NBA playoffs. Can you control your defensive board? They were able to do that. But it also shows a bit of passivity by the Bucks. So I'm not sure what the wake-up call is, but I would expect Milwaukee to come out and really exhibit their excellent two-way play that we've seen throughout the season. And, of course, they're one of only 2 teams, of just a handful of teams in the top 10 in defensive rating and offensive rating, along with the Celtics and the Clippers.
Do you think that this opens things up, and it's so early and it's one game, and we know the Bucks aren't going to lose this series, but do you think that this is maybe a crack or maybe some micro of how they could be undone later, including to Toronto, let's say, in the Eastern Conference Finals?
Certainly, I do. And I think what we have to remember is that, the playoffs are certainly a different animal. The starters are going to get more minutes. The reserves are going to get less. You hear Gordy Chaser talking about scoring through physicality, that, the three-point line gets taken away and the elite scorers, they score in the mid-range in the playoffs. So, you know what, Eitan, from that standpoint, no one is not vulnerable. And also what I find myself looking at is, okay, we know that you cannot stop the great players one-on-one. And we know it's tough to double them if the floor is balanced and spread wide as it is, the space and pace of today's game. But we must look for the adjustments, because you can't let people like Giannis, defeat you. You can try to stop them. You're not going to stop them one-on-one. Right. So I guess what I'm trying to say is you must look for adjustments, and I think we will see some more of them in game two. But certainly Milwaukee is vulnerable. I think other people will take note, of course.
Speaking of vulnerable, and I hate to make, or I won't make an excuse, because it was a clear deflation at the time when Victor Oladipo had to be removed for the game and sent to the hospital with the eye injury, and clearly the Pacers weren't necessarily the same, but at the same time, it's not like they haven't played without Oladipo for a good stretch this year. They seem vulnerable. The way in which Miami beat Indiana today, Bill, it just seemed like that could be a problem throughout this series, not one where I would expect Indiana to just bounce right back and punch Miami in the mouth.
I concur. I mean, listen, they get to the free throw line the least frequently in the league. Okay, they average 15 of 19. Did the Pacers. However, Eitan, first half, they were 14 of 16 from the free throw line, just 5 of 6 in the second half. And, of course, at crunch time, you saw Butler take over, as well as Dragic, right, in the fourth quarter, combining for, 24 points between them, 28 and 24 respectively. Only one second-half turnover for the Heat. So I think what we've seen, and this may be stating the obvious, and again, it's early, but guess what? Every low turnover team has won thus far. So again, can you defend? And like Michael Malone says, you can't beat yourself and your opponent on the same night. So if you can defend and not beat yourself, again, you increase your chances of postseason success.
Bill Horrenda joining us at Bill Horrenda on Twitter, on the Dr. Glatt Regrow Your Hairline. Dr. Paul Glatt, Philadelphia's leading hair restoration doctor. I say this, as you know, a Sixers fan here in Philadelphia, and still painfully obvious that team departing ways with Jimmy Butler has hurt them, at least to the fact that they couldn't replace it. But at the same time, I can recognize how fun it is to watch this young man, or he's getting a little older now, play. And I think that is probably to add to what you laid out about Indiana. The problem that the Pacers face is Jimmy Butler's not going anywhere. He's not a 1 or 2 game type guy in a series. He could give you that every single game in this series.
Yeah, there's no question. And, he's 30 years old and he's savvy. And now what he's got around him is, young players like Bam Adebayo, who's 23. You even look at Duncan Robinson. Now he's 25, but a young 25. Hero is just 20, et cetera. And, Duncan Robinson, one of these 180 guys who struggled today. But, there's just, there's something about the mentality of Miami. And, I won't bore your audience with their mantra, but it's as being, the toughest, meanest, nastiest, best conditioned team in the NBA. And I think there's something to be said for teams that have that identity and have their culture. And you know what, particularly when the numbers meet that. I mean, they're 11th in defensive rating and 7th in offensive rating. This is a very tough team, and they have the highest free throw rate in the league. They get to the line through the Heat.
Bill, were you surprised at all, and maybe you weren't, that the line for the Thunder Rockets game tonight and really throughout the series was so tight between these two teams? I think it closed at a point. Now, Houston's up 28-20 after one. There's plenty of time left. But were you surprised that Houston wasn't more of a favorite?
No. And here's the thing. Billy Donovan, I think he was a finalist for Coach of the Year,
Right.
but he doesn't get nearly enough hype, in my opinion, Eitan. So this is a team, listen, they have 17 wins when trailing going into the final stanza. They have 30 clutch wins. That's the most in the NBA. Now, where they lag, and some of this is UB Brown data, against the 500 plus, they're just 12 and 19. But I really like the Thunder, their toughness, the talent, Chris Paul, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Adams, Gallinari, et al. I think Houston is vulnerable, particularly without Westbrook. And, can they play small and be successful in the postseason? I think that's a big question mark. And I think this series is definitely going to be hotly contested. I think Oklahoma City wins this series.
What's the big indicating factor for you? Is it that Houston can go cold too often? Is there somebody on OKC, like a Gallinari or somebody bigger that can stretch that makes it too difficult for Houston's smaller lineup? Where is that one indicator in your mind, Bill, that puts the Thunder over the top?
It's a make-or-miss league, and I think that if you have the ability to defend the three-point line and kind of take that away, and we've seen Houston in the past go cold.
Yes.
So I just think traveling better, and here's the irony, traveling better. I mean that more figuratively than literally, right? Traveling from the postseason to the postseason from the regular season, Eitan, I just think that it's tough to live and die with jump shots. As much talent as they have, and I know they also love to attack the rim, but I just think that if Oklahoma City can defend and they can play with the toughness and also the mental toughness in crunch time due to the aforementioned numbers, I really like the Thunder here. So that's kind of my thinking as to why I think Houston would be vulnerable, and also that Oklahoma City could be successful. And, of course, you've got a guy, Chris Paul, who's well-traveled, has a lot of postseason experience, as does Adams as well.
Bill, let's look at tonight's game. We've got some other games as well to look at tomorrow. But I am curious tonight how I won't even lead the witness and give you my thoughts. I'll just ask you open. You can take it anywhere you want. How do you see game one play out between the Blazers and the Lakers?
Yeah, well, Lillard, of course, is special. You run out of superlatives, but when I see them struggle defending a pick and roll, albeit how good John Morant is, and his decision making is just absolutely exquisite, particularly for another young guy, right? Of course, as young as he is, 20 years old. But I just see 27th in defensive rating. And listen, this is something that no one talks about with Portland either. 13 of their first 18 on the road, which was an eternity ago to start the season. So it's not a typical 1-8 matchup. But I just think the Lakers are too tough defensively. I think AD as well as LeBron are of course, formidable opponents. And I just don't see Portland and Lillard being able to catapult them out of the first round.
I do too. And even tonight, that 6.5 point line has been tough to cover in the bubble, generally speaking. But my concern with Portland, Bill, is that they expended way too much energy, including that game against Memphis, where at times it looked like they were just out of gas. I don't know if they've had enough time between that game and tonight to rejuvenate their bodies, per se.
Yeah, I agree. And that's something that, we'll just have to see. Now, it's very interesting because the offense has been so good down there. And I think the reason being is that you've got guys getting better rest. There's no travel. There are fewer distractions. So does that play into Portland's favor here? But I tend to agree with you. They may have left it all on the floor just getting here. And then you've got the Lakers who, of course, similar to Milwaukee, right, the upper echelon teams, the Clippers kind of underachieved in the seeding games. But again, this is a team that, it leads the league in blocks. They're top 10 in steals, assists, rebounds, offensive rebounds, free throws. I could go on. And I just think that, listen, I don't think they're the same team without Avery Bradley, without Rondo, who we should see. But I agree with you. I don't think Portland has enough to get out of this first round against the Lakers.
Bill Herenda is joining us. At Bill Herenda is how you follow him on Twitter, BillHerenda.com, the site, all things NBA, college as well. let's look at a couple of series that will restart up tomorrow. And you talked a little bit about the Raptors, that Nets, no issue there. I am curious, though, to get your thoughts on the Jazz Nuggets series. After one, it was overtime. Really, Denver was the only team that showed up in overtime. I'm hesitant to write off the Jazz, Bill, because I had the Jazz winning this series from the jump. How did you see game one, and then how does that factor into the rest of this series between Denver and Utah?
Yeah, I think. Listen, it was a big win for Denver to get this thing done, and I just feel like Denver as a team has yet to really congeal. Michael Porter Jr. has been absolutely terrific, but of course, Harris has not been on the floor, and then you didn't have Conley for the Jazz, and of course, not having Bogdanovich for the Jazz is a huge loss. So I kind of felt like Denver was going to, win the series. I think Michael Malone is one of the best coaches in the NBA, but I'm skittish with Denver. As good as Jokic is and as special as Murray was, 36 points yesterday, assisted or scored on 31 of their final 37. Mitchell was absolutely outrageous with 57, but that 8-second violation under 2 minutes with a 4-point lead was an egregious blunder, of course. But I just think Denver is a bit too deep and is a bit more skilled as far as being able to play both ends of the floor here. So I do like Denver, but I got to give the Jazz a lot of credit. Obviously, they gave Denver all they can handle in game one.
So you like the Nuggets winning game two as well?
I do, yes. I definitely do.
What about last night factoring into tomorrow night? The Mavericks on the short end of the stick. First off, I don't know if you agree with that, but what were your thoughts when you saw Kristaps ejected with a lot of time left in the third?
Yeah, so first thought is to hit Twitter and go, listen, on the 79th Street playground in North Bergen, New Jersey, we say, if you want to play hopscotch, go down the block, okay? He gets ejected. They're up 5, 9.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. It's a 21-11 Clipper run thereafter, and it's pretty much lights out. But I guess, Eitan, my thoughts on it are after listening to Carlisle and then also Porzingis. Very interesting. Paraphrasing Porzingis, like, you know what? Mentally, I prepared for many things, but not for that. So it's kind of like a self-control routine where you have to anticipate that Morris is going to hit you, kind of like Sonny from The Godfather. Yeah. He's going to try to play on your emotions, and it worked. His response was very mature, and Carlisle as well. So I think, listen, the fist thing, that's automatic. Everyone in the league knows it, and you've got to live with it. The second one, don't put yourself in that position.
Right.
So I understand the public outcry, but again, it's 2020. It's not 1980 or 1990. You've got to adjust to the officials at all times, like the weather. If it's hot, put on your shorts. If it's cool, wear a sweater.
Fair enough. Now, what about tomorrow night? How much of an influence do you think that has on the game? I see the Clippers it could change, but they're laying 6.5. And, man, I feel like the Clippers have been the least discussed team since the bubble has restarted the season. They get that win. As you mentioned, they go on that run. It was still an 8-point victory despite Kristaps not being there. Does that add any more fuel to Dallas's fire tomorrow night, or they just walk away with this?
No, I think for Dallas, I feel like you've got to feel pretty good about things. You were down 10-zip, 18-2, and you're right. It was only an 8-point loss without Porzingis for the last, 20 minutes of that game. Now, the thing about Dallas is, they were scintillating offensively this season. Second in the NBA, just 13 turnovers a night. They had 21, which the Clippers capitalized on for 22 points last night. So I think here you've got to have some type of confidence if you're Dallas going into game two. Conversely, for the Clippers, listen, you took care of business. You gave up 69 in the first half, but you only allowed 41 in the second half. And listen, Kawhi was just 1 of 7 from 3. But again, he gets almost 30, right? In a quiet fashion. Paul George goes for 27. Your bench outscores the Dallas bench 25-24. Now, Dallas is a good bench, but again, you got nothing really from Montrezl Harrell. He's just kind of finding his way, right? 6 points, 2 rebounds. So I think this is too tough a hill to climb for Dallas. Maybe they sneak a game, but I think this could be Clippers in 5, maybe 6. But I think for Dallas, this is part of their building process. And I think for the Clippers, I'd be sanguine on them getting to the NBA Finals, if not winning it.
Fair enough. Yeah, and I think that's realistic, definitely reasonable expectations for this Clippers team. And, hey, they set them with what they did this year. Before we end in Philadelphia with that series and this team here, the Sixers, just a complete head-scratcher and need for Advil on a routine basis. Just your thoughts going in. I'm curious, Bill, going into the bubble before a team played a single game to now seeing everybody play at least 9 games. Well, really, including tonight, we'll see everybody play 9 games. Has your thoughts or predictions or expectations of who will be in the NBA Finals changed at all?
I'm sticking with – I had Miami over the Clippers right from the get-go.
Wow! You had the Heat?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I said Miami. I meant to say –
Milwaukee.
Say the Bucks.
Okay.
Milwaukee. I said Miami. Yeah, what a Freudian slip that is.
Well, look, it's believable after today, by all means.
Yeah, but I'll come clean though. Yeah, so I had the Bucks over the Clippers from day one, and I haven't adjusted that, but certainly I would be concerned if I'm the Bucks right now with that, just the way they played. But again, Eitan, just game one. We'll see how they respond in game 2.
Fair enough. It's a long climb right now. What's the outside? I know that Philadelphia, and being from the Northeast, that we get, if it's Jersey, Philly, New York, all in the same area, we get caught up in our own bubble. It's very easy to get caught up in our own bubble, in our own world, and call the local station and yell and scream about a guy who maybe people outside of their city love and admire. And I don't know, don't worry, Andy Reid isn't that bad of a coach, things like that. What is the general perception all the way out to LA where you are, up north in North Dakota, south in Houston? You know the league. You know the people that cover the league. You know the people that play in the league. What is the outside perception that you and others hold of the Philadelphia 76ers? Because I can't get a read on this team at all.
If I had to liken it to an R&B tune, it'd be Keith Sweat. Something just ain't right. I mean, it's a talented team that underachieves, Eitan. I think that's the perspective on it. And, of course, this injury to Ben Simmons is really unfortunate. Now you've got Gordon Hayward from Celtics out as well, of course, which is another unfortunate injury. But I just kind of feel like, chemistry-wise, like Horford has been an enigma there. His production has been up and down. Embiid says he's got to do more post-game, which he does. He had 11 points in the first quarter. He finishes with 26. He's got to get more field goal attempts than just 15, in my opinion. And so Tim Legler would say that as well on ESPN. So I just can't get a read on what exactly it is there that just is not enabling them to click. And listen, I'd be foolish. I have friends in the coaching profession, but you got to wonder if they'll make a move there. I'd be reluctant to break up Embiid and Simmons, but it just seems like there's a chemistry issue there that, for whatever reason, is preventing them from being more successful and as successful as they should be.
Well, I think what's going to happen, and it's unfortunate because you and I think a lot of people in and around and outside the city, whoever's watched this team, recognize there is a chemistry issue on the floor. So I think what's going to happen is the team will fire Brett Brown after this year. They'll bring in as big of a name as they can get. Good luck, because that other teams are looking as well. Better teams are looking as well. But even if, hypothetically, let's say it's a Stan Van Gundy who comes in and coaches this team. After a year, that new coach is going to go back, if it's Elton Brand or somebody else running the team, and say, look, I don't know what you want from me, but these guys won't fit together. And it's going to be that realization that's going to take a new coach to come in and tell the upper management, hey, something ain't right.
Right. And I mean, I've tweeted this frequently. Basketball ain't that easy, but it ain't that hard. And, Rome wasn't built in a day, but it got built. And, of course, there you've gone through, the pain. And now, the fans there deserve more elation. So, and I think coaching is particularly difficult in this day and age because, even very solid, good coaches, have a difficult time staying in one place for a long time. And I think it's hard for their voices to continue to resonate. And, Gordy Jesus says, longtime Jazz, says you need new wave communicators with old school values. That can only help so much, but you just need chemistry and accountability and guys to accept their role. Now, we'll see what happens. Again, it's only game one. Can they capitalize on Hayward's injury? And they played very well, to a point last night. But again, you can't give up 34 in the final stanza and expect to be successful in the postseason. But perhaps they'll turn it around in game two. I do like Boston in the series without Hayward, by the way.
Bill, thanks so much, man. At Bill Horrenda on Twitter, BillHorrenda.com. And on your way out, you're not really going to go see that Planes, Trains, and Automobiles remake with Will Smith and Kevin Hart, right?
Probably not. It's like the Honeymooners. You can't redo it.
What are they doing?
The classics alone.
This country is wild. Either something is immediately canceled and wiped from history, or it's remade 13 times over. I'm just lost.
It's feast or famine.
It's
feast or famine mentality.
Awesome, Bill. Thank you so much, man, for the time, the insight. We all appreciate it here. Have a great night. Be well and be safe, man.
You too, Eitan. Anytime. My pleasure.
You got it. That's Bill Horrenda. And you check out his IMDb page, man. All right. The guy was on some pretty big pieces there, some pretty big moments on screen. SWAT. So we had to get his thoughts a little bit on this remake. I cannot believe that we went from talking about The Fresh Prince being remade into a drama to now a remake of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Why? That's another, why? Why? First off, I don't think, as I saw on Twitter, somebody saying iconic class. It's a funny movie. But are we really, think about this. I'll present it this way. Are people really so strapped for new ideas that you are now in the middle tier of funny, memorable movies? Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, funny movie. Is it a top 10 comedy? No, of course not. But it's insane that we're still searching for now mediocre product to remake. We'll update you. It looked like James Harden went down. We'll see the severity of his knee when we get back, and also update you on some things happening around the diamond as the Philadelphia Phillies are about to embark on a series against the AL version of the Mets in the Boston Red Sox. So we'll see if they can keep that going, coming off a sweep of New York. Back in action tonight. First pitch set in a minute. What are the odds a lead is blown by the Philadelphia Phillies bullpen? Well, pretty high. Oh, by the way, 45-30, Rockets lead. And yes, that 50.5 first quarter total hit under thanks to a missed three by the Thunder. Yeah, Harden is down, but he's back, so no issue there. No problem with that knee. Just needed a minute and a break. We'll do the same. What are the odds? Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler, presented by Cure Auto Insurance.
Who's trending on the music charts?
Rufio
runs down.
Good. 4:30.
At number one on the Billboard 200 albums chart for a third week, marking the first album by a woman to spend its first 3 weeks at number one since 2018. Coming in at number two this week is Juice WRLD's posthumous album.
There's absolutely no way that Houston can lose Harden.
No.
They
No, my goodness.
Yeah, he looks fine. It looked like he slightly hyperextended it, but it wasn't nothing bad.
Album as Born Here, Live Here, Die Here debuts at number 5. The original Broadway cast recording of Hamilton
did look
in
bad,
American.
right?
Yeah, when he landed, I was like, I'm glad he didn't. The person that was defending him, I'm glad he didn't push forward anymore because he could have broke his knee.
Number 7, the Baby's former number 1, Blame It On Baby, is at number 8 this week. Lil Baby's My Turn is at number 9. And rapper NLE Choppa closes out the top 10 with Top Shotta.
All right. And that's what's poppin'.
I'm Rufio on iHeartRadio.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Traffic is at a standstill on the westbound Schuylkill past Young to Bear. That's where crews are in the process of closing all lanes for overnight construction. We've got road work on the PA Turnpike westbound between Downingtown and Morgantown. The left lane's blocked. Laura Tratella, total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance, where you only pay for what you need.
Today's forecast calls for clear skies, slight winds coming out of the northeast, and customized car insurance from Liberty Mutual, so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Basketball has made its way through the regular season. Now it's time to crown a champion. And DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is putting you in the center of the action. To celebrate, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving you an amazing free bet offer. For every day that you bet at least $20 on basketball, DraftKings Sportsbook will give you a $10 free bet. Head to the app right now and check out all that they have to offer, including player props, quarter-by-quarter betting, and so much more. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code BRACE when you sign up. For a limited time, all users can get a $10 free bet when placing a bet of $20 or more on all first-round playoff action. That's code BRACE, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. Other terms and conditions and restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
At Simple Mobile, you get the no contract advantage. Unlimited talk and text plus 5 gigabytes of high-speed data for $30 a month. $30 a month on a nationwide 5G network and no contract. That's our best deal ever. Shop now at simplemobile.com. Simple Mobile. Out with the old, in with the simple.
Limited time offer ends 9/30/2020. Standard high-speed data allotment on all redemptions thereafter. Compatible 5G capable device and SIM required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. 5G network not available in all areas. Terms at simplemobile.com.
iHeartRadio brings you New to View, Streaming Edition.
Coming to Netflix on August 25th, Emily's Wonder Lab Season 1, a new kids' educational series hosted by Emily Calandrelli. Then it's the final
60 seconds.
teen drama, Trinkets. On the 26th.
So, Eitan, I'm going to send an email. I was just telling John, next Wednesday, he'll run the board for you because I'm not here.
Okay. Is it just Wednesday?
It's just Wednesday. Monday and Tuesday, I'll be here.
Okay. That's fine.
He'll do Wednesday, and then I'm out the rest of the week until the next Monday.
Got it. Okay. So you only miss one day with me.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. I think
there's a possibility I could miss that next Monday, but I'll just follow up and let you know about that.
Okay. That's
but
fine.
as of right now, I'm planning on coming back Monday. If not, I'll be back Tuesday.
Cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. But I'll keep you updated. I'm going to send an email with everybody attached to it, too.
Perfect.
2005's The Fantastic Four.
We got 15 to a little more than that. I'm putting your rejoiner in there.
2020 sports drama, The Way Back, along with the finale of the British comedy drama, I May Destroy You, and the
20 seconds.
Patel's docu-series, Pursuit of Happiness, and more.
And that's New to View on iHeartRadio. Happy binging.
Listen, everybody.
What are the odds you get great sports gambling talk with expert guests?
Oh, here it is.
Well, pretty good, actually. It's What's the Odds with Eitan Shander.
This game has been blown up. 55-35, 4:26 left in the second. San Diego with the lead. Texas right now winding down the San Diego Tatis Juniors versus the Rangers. I still can't believe that Jace Tingler, the Tingler, threw his own player under the bus. He either missed a call or, it was still. Either the take was on, maybe he missed it, whatever the case was. Tatis, here comes Tatis Jr., by the way, who has actually been playing pretty well on this little tear here. 2 for 5 tonight. He did score another run. He's hitting over 300. I just can't believe that it was made such a big, because baseball has nothing. They really don't have enough. This will be talked about for a week. Meanwhile, the NFL will talk about something for a week, and then games will happen. A Thursday night game will happen, and then everything is forgotten. Trust me, I've done it. I've been doing national stuff now for the past couple of years, and it's crazy to see how these conversations shift when games are actually played. I don't know if it's just because there's so many baseball games normally that people are just inundated with, all right, well, I'm not going to sit and watch 6 more games and react to 6 more things. I'm just going to keep the obvious biggest topic or theme going. Looks like they're down to their final out. 6-4 Padres. Now, the D-backs are crushing the A's top 4, 9-1 Yankees and Rays are scoreless in the top of the second, although Tampa does have a man on second with one out. No outs. Cleveland with a man on second. They trail Pittsburgh 1-0. Atlanta up 1-0 in the top of the second as well. They have a man on first with one out. Washington has a man on first with one out, and they trail Atlanta 1-0. Bottom of the second, scoreless between Seattle and L.A. Mets and Marlins also scoreless, bottom of the first. And right away, we have action. We have Philadelphia Phillies action. And you know me, I'm just sitting here waiting for a lead. That's all. Just waiting for a lead. And they already have Rhys Hoskins on first, Bryce Harper at the plate. There's one out, but still, here comes Bryce. Just give me something. You know, I don't need a home run, although I do have that still active bet. I forgot about that. Some of these were placed way before even COVID, or right around when, COVID had the stop. I'm trying to look at when I actually placed this. Okay, so June 29th. So we were a little bit into it. Bryce Harper to lead the NL in home runs was plus 650 before the season began. So, yeah, I'd love a home run right now. Don't get me wrong. It would help. It's not going to hit, but it would help. But at this point, all we need is a hit. All we need is a run scored, and that changes. It starts the dynamic of changing things because it's only a matter of time before you start to see a pretty big lead squandered. Now, the Phillies are -1 right now on the run line. I'm not taking Boston at +1 until they're down, until Boston is legit down. I'm not laying 118 to get a run where I know Boston is going to be +4 or 5 at one point tonight. And I can patiently wait that out. There's NBA playoffs. There's NHL playoffs. Dallas up 2-1, mind you, over Calgary. Now, Calgary tied that game. Calgary did come back and tie that game, but Dallas got one later. So now, with about 14 plus left in the third period, this is going to be all to the wall. Another word that I can't say. All to the wall for Calgary. In fact, just looking at this right now, Flames are +1. Wow, that can't be right. Flames are +1 at 230. +230. Oh, we jumped in. It's processing right now as it speaks. That's why we put this up here for you. Online, live, twitch.tv/Shander Show. Not just throwing stuff out here. Calgary down one. Now, again, an empty netter seals this and kills that bet. But Calgary +1 at +230 of a return. I don't know I can pass that up. Do like that total, though, now that I look at it. It's sitting at 5. The narrative here would be some sort of push for overtime, right? That's how that doesn't hit. That's how that stays right now. Because at 2-1, Dallas scoring a third goal is going to seal that under, especially if that third goal comes in some sort of empty net fashion. You're going to see a 3-1 final. Dallas wins it. That under 5 hits. It's probably why it's sitting at -190 right now. Books are going to tell you, good luck if you think this thing's going to get overtime and then force a 5th goal. You never know. Calgary could rip off 2 straight. Crazy things happen in this game, I understand. But the reality is the books are even begging you to just stay away from this. At -190, what are you really making back here? You're close to laying 2-1 on this thing hitting under because there are 11:59 left in the third. But Calgary scoring a goal kills that. Calgary scoring, that's why the over actually is in play. If you believe that Calgary has enough right now to get something and just get a goal, push a goal in here. All right, still scoreless right now. Bryce Harper, the count is full. Awaiting this final pitch here that Harper could hopefully turn on and just move Hoskins at the very least. Just move him at the very least. Looks like he grounded out. So Hoskins to second, advanced Hoskins, and now it's JT's turn. 2 outs, base hit would score Rhys Hoskins. You would like to think. Double definitely clears him, but Base hit. I can deal with a base hit. Real Muto already swinging, man, right away. I love it. This guy is just so much fun to watch, especially at the plate. You know, he does things you look for from a strategy, idiosyncratic things, that you'll see as far as a catcher behind the plate. But he is a joy to watch when he's hitting. Truly. Think about that. I mean, if Rhys Hoskins could ever get something going, if this kid could ever actually turn something around, you would have one of the most dangerous 3 hitters in a row you'd find in baseball. Those 3 guys right there would be enough. That's going to end the inning. Grounded out to short. Okay, we were close, but look, the pitching for Boston is so bad and so horrendous across the board that there will be plenty of opportunities here for the Phillies. Plenty. There will also be a ton of opportunity, just as much opportunity as there will be falling in the Phillies' hands to hit Boston pitching. So will be the case when the Phillies go to their pen. Unfortunately for Philadelphia, even if Zach Eflin throws 5 or 6 dominating innings, he's going to get pulled and somebody's going to come in. And that's when you pounce. That's when you jump in and you make your move. It's now a 13-point game. I'll get you the exact score here. But the Thunder are doing their best. 14-point lead now for the Houston Rockets as we're winding down in the first half. Rockets running away with it first half if you had Houston. In fact, if you played Houston, you might be in pretty good shape as far as the halftime, full-time. At Shander Show is how you get me on Twitter. We're live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Shander Show. I'm trying to grab that real quick to see what that halftime, full-time was that closed, but I don't think I'll be able to see it on the market. All right, we'll update you on what's happening here with this Houston OKC game as we get closer to the half. Tempted to take that under 5, but I don't trust Calgary right now. I don't trust that Calgary is just going to lay down and not get one late. Remember, the other game that we saw where it went to overtime was a result of a goal by Dallas with 12 seconds left on the clock. Just 12 seconds left. That forced overtime, and then Dallas wins it. Unbelievable. Again, at Shander Show, John Jansen coming your way at 8 o'clock tonight with the line change. It's What Are the Odds right here on Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler, presented by Cure Auto Insurance.
iHeartRadio. Soundtrack. Flashback. Added to the...
We got 420.
Wait a second. Okay.
Yeah, you got one more break, but at 57, we just need to be out.
Okay.
Forever.
Wait a second.
What happened?
Kids,
I thought Schroeder was supposed to be out.
iHeartRadio
What
app.
the hell is he doing playing?
Dan Patrick, 9 to noon.
Good question. Wait a second. What the hell is...
I mean, he's not helping the team, but...
And one! Can't stop James Harden. Is Schroeder the one trying to guard him?
Schroeder's the one on Harden now, yeah.
Yeah.
He got picked.
Mm-hmm. I see.
And then Harden just...
took him to the hole.
Yeah, I mean, that's a weak call, but...
That's a James Harden call.
Yeah. The continuation, and I mean, it's rough.
Chris Paul wanted a foul. It's over, bruh. 52-68.
Weird, but you could still save big when you switch to Progressive. It might just be the most normal thing you do to do.
Quote to die at Progressive.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Hello?
Hi, I'm calling on behalf of the Mice Nest.
Mice Nest?
Yes, Mice Nest. It's a nest of mice. They finished chewing through your RV wiring, so the fire should start soon.
Can we cancel that?
Oh, sorry. Once scheduled, they can't really stop because they're mice. A nest of them.
RV owners can't schedule when things go wrong on the road. That's why there's Progressive, a leader in RV insurance.
Oh, and if you could stay on the line for a quick survey.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Hiring is challenging. Just ask Dylan Miskowitz, the COO of Cafe Altura.
We needed a director of coffee in order to move our products forward. It felt like we were looking for a needle in a haystack.
Dylan started using ZipRecruiter and found his perfect candidate in a few days.
We were very impressed with how quickly we had quality candidates apply through ZipRecruiter.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
They had snuck in the night and committed these murders. Nobody had a clue about who or a why.
You got 8 people dead and things like that.
90 seconds.
Small town. I mean, they don't usually.
Classic hip hop. Your favorite.
I'm ready.
They couldn't have written a more sinister story than what's playing out in Pike County, Ohio right now.
Find the Piketon Massacre on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Who's trending on the music charts? Rufio runs down the top albums of the week.
Taylor Swift's Folklore reigns at #1 on the Billboard 200 albums chart for a third week, marking the first album by a woman to spend its first 3 weeks at #1 since 2018. Coming in at #2 this week is Juice WRLD's posthumous album Legends Never Die. The late Pop Smoke's former #1 album Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon is at #3 this week. Rod Wave's Pray for Love is at #4. And country superstar Luke Bryan lands his 11th top 10 album as Born Here, Live Here, Die Here debuts at #5.
30 seconds.
Of Hamilton, an American Musical, is at #6 this week. Alternative rock band Glass Animals achieves their first top 10 album as Dreamland arrives at #7. The Baby's former #1 Blame It On Baby is at #8 this week. Lil Baby's My Turn is at #9.
10 seconds.
L.E. Choppa closes out the top 10 with Top Shotta. All right, and that's What's Poppin'. I'm Rufio on iHeartRadio.
I ain't no joke. I used to let the mic smoke. Now I slam it when I'm done and make sure it's broke. When I'm gone,
What's the first song you ever had memorized from start to finish? Every single word, rapped, sung, anything. Belted.
That's a hard one.
It's easy for me because it was a way that I got through later in life. It was a way that I would get through being stuck in like a study hall or something, knowing that I would have 10 or 15 minutes left and I'm completely done with everything I needed to do. I could rap this song in my head from start to end and 3 times over and kill those 15 minutes.
I need to know what it is.
Well, it's the same group that you just played, but a different song. I actually think it's an album after. What album was I Ain't No Joke on?
That was Eric B. and Rakim.
No, I know, but what album?
I don't know what. That's a good
Paid
question.
in Full. Okay, so
Yes.
Just wanted to make sure that the albums were different, which they were. So the song that I first memorized from start to end was on the following album, Follow the Leader. Now, it wasn't Follow the Leader. Do you know what song I might be talking about right now? It's probably their most famous song. Now, I would say, to be honest, I would think this is their most famous song, but you really have to look at Eric B. and Rakim's catalog and determine that on your own, everybody, including Rob. I would just say, for me, I thought, looking back at it, well, at the time, and then even still, up until they made Don't Sweat the Technique, just because that sound coming out of Eric B.'s deck just hadn't been heard before like that. Yeah, I mean, this was just, you didn't have something like this to where you had multiple jazz riffs created. I mean, it was new. Man, what year was that? You might think this is like old school. From this is 92. And for me, when I look at Eric B. and Rakim's catalog and that come to mind, and somebody mentions, Eric B. as a producer or Rakim as one of the best rappers of all time, This to me is like later. This is like close to the end of Eric B. and Rakim, and it came out in 92. No, the song I'm talking about is Microphone Fiend.
Okay.
I had that one. I just listened to it. It was the one song. I listened to that album all the time as a kid. I was 10 years old when it came out. So there were a couple of songs on Follow the Leader that definitely just jumped. Nothing at all. I mean, look, Lyrics of Fury is a hard, fast song. The R, another one. But even Follow the Leader, which was, Follow the Leader, right? Microphone Fiend was just that song. It was that track that it spoke to me. And I could listen to it over and over and over again. Sometimes when you're trying to memorize something, you take it in chunks. Like you listen to a couple of bars, let's say in a song, and you rewind it, make sure you have it, and then maybe you rap or sing over it as it goes. This one, I would just let it play over and over and over again. Start to end. It was like my favorite song. I think people in the car, like I wouldn't even be I'd have the headphones on, the Walkman back in the day, and I would just constantly rewind that sucker. When you had play and rewind down at the same time and you could hear it like, constantly, man, constantly. It's amazing. Do you know what song was for you?
That's a hard one because I really don't know what the first one was. I'm trying to think like what my first song was that I remembered from beginning to end. There's a lot. Like my friends always say, like, all the lyrics to everything. And I'm like, I just study a lot of music. Like I even go through the portions of like reading lyrics when I don't know exactly what they said. And then I'll go back and rap it the right way or whatever. I don't know. I will say like, cause I was a big like musical person. I don't know. Like I like all types of music because John and I had this conversation and I was like, I do all genres of music, but I was really heavy into like musicals, like Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah. Okay.
Cats, Rent, all types of musicals that I would just like recite from beginning to end.
So you had a lot of those down. Like you could watch Phantom of the Opera and sing along in every word.
Yes.
Okay, that's impressive, man.
I think I actually in my drama class in high school, we performed like portions of the Rent musical on stage. So like I know literally my whole performance by heart, but other songs too. So like Rent is probably the one I know from beginning to end, every song that's in the movie.
Interesting.
But yeah, I know rap, I know R&B, I know gospel. I do all types of like when I be in here with John, and I said, what's the name of that song? Country, Chicken Fried. And he was like, why do you like the song? I was like, yeah, I love all types of music.
Right.
I like all music, so it doesn't matter. Like that's why people are like, I'm real like versatile when it comes to listening to music. Okay. But I don't know. There was an R. Kelly song. I know we can't talk about him too much right now. But R. Kelly and Usher had Same Girl. I don't know if you remember that song where they like went back and forth and it was like
I do.
The parts back and forth. So I used to practice knowing one person's part and then I would find a friend of mine that was willing to do the other part and we would like go back and forth and try to do Same Girl.
Okay.
So like I knew that whole song word for word, but there's a lot of music that I could probably go through and I just don't know what the first one was.
Wow. That's not bad, man.
I love music.
Yeah.
Outside of sports.
Yes.
I love music.
No, but that's not bad at all. Like that's insight in you that I never would have had unless I brought that up. Like I had no idea that you were deep into musicals like this.
Yeah.
And you had such a rich history and drama.
And because of the school I went to, I don't
was
know,
it for that?
No, I went to, some people might be familiar with it, but the Milton Hershey School.
Yeah.
In Hershey, PA.
Yep.
So like it was a boarding school that I stayed at, but we had like options to do all types of things. So that's how I got into video production because my high school had a like video production room and a newscast room that was better than most colleges in the country.
Amazing.
In high school. So, and then from there, I wound up working at the Giant Center, working with the Hershey Bears.
Right.
Getting to see the Capitol. So it was like a lot of stuff that I was like given in high school that most people didn't have the chance to do.
Nothing.
So I kind of got that wide range of stuff that I'm like all over the place pulling information in.
You know, what's crazy is that realistically, I mean, I didn't have anything. College, we had this at Gettysburg College. We had this rinky-dink radio station. And I remember it was just such a hassle. You had to clear all these hurdles just to try and get on and do a show at 2 a.m. on a Saturday night.
Right.
They made it so difficult. It was such a turnoff. And I remember I came in and one of my boys was got in and was doing a show, and it was like 1 hour a week and everything. And he had to sign all this stuff. And there were people standing over, like monitoring what was it, WBZBT or something like that, some small station you couldn't hear probably outside the college. And that was like my first real experience with it. And then until I got it back and like really into radio, I didn't have anything like that. And that's crazy because you're right. I'm sure that did a lot for you, especially in this business now.
Yeah.
Look at that, man. Get some insight into Rob. All right, 68-52 at the half. Houston is up big right now. There's some pretty good value out there for OKC in the second half, even just looking at the live line for the Thunder. And John Jansen will have you coming up at the top of the hour on the line change, update you on everything going on in the world of baseball. Just one final look here as we gave out that, and at least I took Calgary with that plus 290 return just at +1, and it's sitting right now at +1 with 4:59 left in the third. It's getting closer to empty net or tie it time. Thanks, Rob. Two of us, John too. We're all back tomorrow. Sean Brace with the Daily Ticket, then What Are the Odds, then the line change. It's all here on Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler, presented by Cure Auto Insurance.